Coming up next, On the Spot, we return to stylized madness with a demo of Puzzle Agents 2, bathe in all the vivid colors of Galaga Legions DX, and the red, white, and blue of Captain America. We've also got the skinny on the Call of Duty Annihilation map pack, get you started on Resident Evil The Mercenaries for the 3DS, the editors finally wrap up E3 in the last installment of E3 Aftermath, and Aaron Sampson tells us what's new this week in digital downloads. We're live and on the spot.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of On the Spot. Once again, it's me, Sean, here, filling in for Chris, who continues his whirlwind tour of the northeastern United States. He's on vacation, he'll be back next week. But in the meantime, we've got a great show lined up for you. We've got some trivia prizes to give away, some Galaga Legions DX codes, some codes for the Uncharted multiplayer beta, and a whole lot of other fun stuff coming your way. And remember, we've got a live chat going on here, so click that join the chat button right next to the video player if you haven't already. We're going to start off with Captain America, courtesy of Morgan Roberts from Sega. Morgan, thanks a lot for joining us.
Sean, thanks for having me.
All right, excellent. So you've got the game going right here. We'll go ahead and get it started and tell everybody what Captain America is all about.
Sure. Well, we wanted to show you something new. We were here just before E3, and we kind of started the story out with Cap skydiving into Hydra's castle. Actually used to belong to Baron Zemo, so we tell a little bit of that backstory there. Why does Cap need to get in here? There's these crazy experiments. So he's actually made his way into the castle, gotten down into the laboratories. This is the first time he started exploring it, and you start seeing some of the crazy experiments that Arnim Zola has been performing by direction of Red Skull. Hydra, for those that don't know, is sort of like the deep science organization that the Nazis have put in place to create weapons that really don't belong in World War II. So Cap needs to stop them before they get or turn the tide of the war, really.
All right, excellent. Now, yeah, it looks like something bad has happened here.
Yeah, you'll see there's these containment units, and Arnim Zola has been doing biological experiments trying to create essentially the Nazis' own version of a super soldier. And so Cap sees what's going on here. He's down in here trying to rescue some of the invaders, which are based on the Howling Commandos, his team of guys, Bucky, Dugan, Fallsworth. And so here's one of the experiments that you see right now. These guys we call screamers. They're essentially psychic soldiers that Arnim Zola's created that sort of go haywire. They don't really follow instructions. They don't really work for Hydra. They're killing everybody in the facility, and now Cap is first facing them. So you see he's got a psychic barrier around him. Shield is useless, basically. If you get too close, he'll throw you away. So Cap's got to deflect incoming shots to weaken the guy and then get in there past his shield, his bubble shield.
Okay.
So Cap's shield actually is an offensive weapon, but it's also a defensive weapon. It can be used both to block incoming melee attacks, but then ranged attacks too. And as you can see, Cap's pretty brutal in our game. So back to the story, he's essentially trying to find Dugan, one of the invaders, and he's worried that Hydra will turn him into one of these crazy screamers or some other biological experiment. What we're seeing right there is a crippling strike. As you build up focus, we call it, with Cap's abilities, you can start unleashing single strike kills on the enemies.
Now, can you give us a sense of where, like how far into the game this is and how this compares to some of the other enemies and environments that Cap's going to encounter?
Yeah, this is about halfway into the game.
Okay.
So the start of it, you're outside the castle and you're fighting more traditional style soldiers, guys with shotguns and rifles and electrified batons and whatnot, sort of your standard grunt soldiers. It's not until you get into the labs you start seeing the crazy sort of abominations that Arnim Zola's been up to. These screamers are some of the first ones you find. There's a couple other ones that you'll run into a little bit later here. Eventually you'll make your way outside the castle to try to rescue Fallsworth from some of the bosses. We've got Baron Strucker in here, who you would have already fought at this point, but then Madame Hydra is the next lieutenant you're trying to get to. Make your way all the way to Arnim Zola and Red Skull, who are actually being defended by Iron Cross, which is another, all sort of super villains that were back in World War II era.
And how frequent are we going to encounter that sort of mini-game?
Sure, what you saw right there we call a cipher box. It's based on like the Enigma machines of World War II, and Cap with his sort of analytical mind can determine the common variable between both. So we throw those in there along with some hotwire mini games just to change things up over time, so you get a little bit of exploration as well as the combat. And something else you're not seeing in this demo is platforming, the agility to navigate the environment.
All right, so we've got some audience questions here from the folks who are in the chat right now. Just a reminder, anybody can join the chat. All you have to do is click the button right next to the video player. Thribs is wondering, When does this take place in respect to the movie?
So the movie is more of an origin story. It's about Steve Rogers sort of as a young kid wanting to join the Army, not being fit for the Army, and then going through the super soldier program, or Project Rebirth it's called. So all of that has happened already in our timeline. We maintain continuity, but essentially Captain America has already become the hero that he is, and he's already leading the invaders based on the Howling Commandos, like I mentioned, into one of Red Skull's experimental laboratories that you're seeing here. And eventually then, of course, he faces off with Red Skull in the movie. So it's basically a mission in between the beginning and end of the movie.
Can you give us a sense of, how this game controls and, relative to some other action games out there?
Sure, yeah. It's more of a contextual combat system, which is, I think, becoming more popular right now, sort of a deviation from the classic combo, which is, XXY or
right.
XXXY. This is more about assessing the situation. If there's someone coming behind you, maybe you want to counter them. If there's someone coming in front of you, maybe you want to block or defend against them, or maybe mobility around them, and then come out with a grab. So you've got all these moves that you can perform at any time.
That is a sweet-looking mustache on Dugan right there.
So yeah, it's cool. One of the other things we haven't shown you, there's the melee combat system, but there's also a lot of shield activity in there too. So Cap can block the shield, incoming fire, but he can also use it to target multiple guys, quick throws, ricochet it off individuals, and reflect incoming ranged attacks.
I'll have my little friend to keep me company.
No, I imagine one of the trickiest parts about developing a game like this is, balancing the sort of fan base between the hardcore Captain America fans and the ones who've just never read a single comic in their life. What are you guys doing? How are you taking on that challenge?
Well, one of the things we wanted to do is definitely get Chris Evans, who's the actor in the movie. I think once he comes out and that movie comes out, everybody's going to recognize him as Captain America. So that sort of appeals to your more general player who just wants to experience like another mission after they watch the movie, like let me see a little bit more about this. For those people who are a little more hardcore, we actually have a lot of backstory based on the castle. It's run by Baron Zemo, who's a classic enemy in the comics. Also, Arnim Zola has these film reels, so there's a bunch of backstory that you can get through collectibles and such in the environment to get more of the lore that's going on here. What you're seeing right there is weaponized. So kind of like the crippling strike I was talking about earlier, where you can take a guy out in a single shot, you can also save up your focus to grab an enemy, turn them around, and then use their ranged weapon on other enemies.
Let's see. Super 19 has a slightly ambitious question of wondering, are there any Avengers Easter eggs in this game?
Let's see, Avengers Easter eggs. Not really. We wanted to kind of focus on Cap by himself. We had toyed with the idea of maybe like showing all of this as almost as a flashback and then coming into modern day and having him explain this whole story to the rest of the Avengers, and we were like, that's too ambitious. Let's just keep it focused on Cap for now. We got to save some stuff for the sequel.
Right, that is true.
Madam Hydra, who's taken Fallsworth outside of the facility, and there's a couple of enemies he's got to finish off before he can get back up to the upper levels. So here you're seeing some of the shield. You can ricochet that off multiple guys. You can also weaponize this guy, turn his plasma rifle, we call it, back on the enemies.
I like the karate chop to the neck of the heavily armored heavy there.
Right. Cool.
All right, let's see. Thribs is wondering, why are they called Hydra?
Hydra?
Yeah.
It's just what it's been in the comics forever.
You guys don't want to change the canon?
No, we didn't want to change the canon. We want to maintain continuity between the film and the comics, obviously. Their classic line is you kill one of us and two rise up, right? Sort of like the mythological creature.
So close yet so far, your captain. Schnell, schnell!
I don't have a shot. Get her, Cap. Consider it done. Dugan,
So it's one of the examples of some of the technology that doesn't belong in World War II that Hydra is working on.
A totally sweet helicopter.
Yes. So that you'll find that once you get back into the laboratories, you rescue Fallsworth, get a little bit further down, there's a whole sort of weapons manufacturing plant. There's a thermal plant that powers everything. You'll find out where they're manufacturing those helicopters. So it's quite involved. Like although you're contained within this castle the whole time, there's lots of different environments and levels to it.
Ouch.
go get her. I got a score to settle with that cannon that shot us down.
Exotic Animal is wondering about game length. Obviously, that's something that varies from skill level to skill level.
Exactly. It depends on if you want to do a lot of the collectibles. Like I mentioned before, you've got the Zemo diaries. You've also got the Zola reels. If you want to go around and collecting everything, like this is a good example. If you just cruise around to like the left, you'll see that there's a bunch of other environments that you can run through. There's a whole sewer system. So if you want to get all those collectibles, you're probably talking over 10, 12 hours. If you just try to burn through it, you probably get through in about 8 hours. I could probably do it in about 6 hours, but I've played it a bunch. So.
You're an especially good Captain America. Fribs is wondering, do you get to kill Hitler?
No, you don't get to kill Hitler. We specifically tried to stay away from sort of the Nazi idea.
Right.
Focus on Hydra and Red Skull. You do get to face off with Red Skull, though. He is in the game. And there's a couple other enemies that we haven't talked about either that we're just trying to keep as like secrets for the people who actually play through it. Oh. So you've made it outside the labs, through the courtyard. Now you're entering in what we call the East Ballroom, and this is where you're going to face off with Madam Hydra.
Okay.
So if we continue through, there'd be a big boss battle and quite a big finishing moment in the story.
Okay. Let's see here. Oh, all right, excellent. Well, you know, obviously we want to preserve some surprises for the viewers out
Please,
there,
yep.
so that is something that we'll definitely make sure to do. But Morgan, I appreciate you coming by.
Sean, thanks for having me.
Showing off Captain America. Go ahead and remind everybody out there when the game is going to be out in stores and the platforms it will be out
Sure,
for.
it's coming out July 19th, so just a few weeks away. It's coming out for Xbox 360, PS3, Wii, and DS.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, no
Appreciate
problem.
it. All right, everybody. So that was your look at Captain America. Now we've got a little video piece showing off the new maps for Call of Duty Black Ops.
The latest map pack for Call of Duty Black Ops titled Annihilation was just released this past week for the Xbox 360 and cost you about 1,200 Microsoft points. The 700 plus meg download gets you 4 new multiplayer maps and a new zombie map titled Shangri-La. Let's take a quick tour of the new map starting with Drive-In. As the name implies, the map aesthetics is an old movie drive-in, complete with snack bar, projector room, and partial screen. The map itself is one of the smaller of the 4 new maps, which keeps the action fast and a lot of fun for folks that like to run and gun. One of the central locations that might seem like a good sniper spot is the screen itself or the projector room. With backup, holding down a position from either of these locations is possible, but with multiple pathways in and lots of exposed positions, it can also be a death trap.
Friendly sentry gun on the way. Spy plane ready for deployment. Our spy plane's in the air.
The next map, Hazard, is set on a golf course that comes complete with sand traps, flags, and golf carts. Aside from the golf aesthetic, the level is set up to provide long-range sight lines, perfect for players who like sniping. The few buildings and structures that are present in the surrounding edges of the level allow for some short-range action, but not a whole lot of cover. So far, we've had the most fun playing Domination on Hazard, as taking control and maintaining possession of the middle flag with 2 competitive teams is nothing short of crazy fun.
Enemy spy plane above. A bomb has been planted. Our counter spy plane's in the air.
Next up, Hangar 18 is a medium-sized map which features an SR-71 Blackbird at the heart of the action. The map comes complete with a few aesthetics that speak to Hangar 18's infamous reputation, including signs that read Groom Lake, a floating apple, and a couple of aliens on gurneys. Aside from the look of the map, its layout is fairly straightforward.
The objective. Bomb defused. Friendly spy plane inbound.
Silo, the last of the 4 new multiplayer maps included in Annihilation, is of decent size. With lots of good vantage points at the core of the map and lots of tight corners everywhere you go, this one requires run and gun skills that are tied to proper tactics and teamwork. However, anyone with good assault rifle skills and the proper perks should fare well.
Enemy Cobra headed your way. Enemy Huey approaching. Securing Z. Securing Alpha.
Last but not least is the included zombie map, Shangri-La. Much like previous zombie maps, you'll be forced to kill zombies for money in order to buy your progression through the level. Fixing barricades along the way increases your cash pool as well, which you use to buy power-ups and weapons. In order to use some of the vending machines, you'll first have to turn on the power. Be sure to shoot straight and think about how you're spending your money, since while you can use your knife if you run out of ammo, going toe-to-toe with a zombie is never a good idea. Well, there's a brief look at the 5 new maps available for Call of Duty Black Ops Annihilation. Hope you enjoyed it. See you next time.
All right, thank you, Ryan, for that update on the Call of Duty Black Ops Annihilation map pack. Now we've got Tom Magrino from the news desk
Hi, Sean.
here to tell us all about the latest goings-on in the video games industry.
Did Chris perish? Where?
Chris is
he
on.
still alive?
He is on like
Because I'm a news guy.
seriously
And I need to know
lengthy
these things.
vacation right
Okay,
now. He's
so
in
he'll be
Cape
back next
Cod,
week.
Actually.
Okay.
Yeah, for anybody out there who wants to like stalk him, Chris is in Cape Cod.
Chris
so.
is in Cape Cod. We have some news to talk about.
Okay.
So last week, actually on Monday, was a very exciting day in the industry because the Supreme Court finally ruled on this violent video game legislation bill.
Right.
It's been around since like 2005 or 2006. It originated in California. I believe you're familiar with that state?
I am.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
But no, so it came back in the industry's favor. The case was Brown versus the Entertainment Merchants Association, and the Supreme Court essentially ruled 7-2 in favor of the game industry, saying that the law would have been a violation of it would have been a violation of the Constitution, unconstitutional. So Justice Anton Scalia wrote the majority opinion, and he essentially said that there are forms of speech that can be unprotected, but trying to figure out what is socially worthy and then creating a test for that just isn't going to fly in this case.
Yeah.
He also kind of indicated that yes, maybe playing Mortal Kombat is not as edifying as reading Dante, but it's not illegal to do.
That's what the Dante's Inferno video game is for, right?
That's very true. That is as socially edifying as you can get
just as much
out of a video game. But it was kind of interesting hearing from the dissenting opinions. Clarence Thomas and Stephen Breyer were writing in the dissenting opinions, and Clarence Thomas had this wonderful quote. Puritans thought children were innately sinful and that parents' primary task was to suppress their children's natural depravity.
Wow.
So that's why he thought that, it's up to the government to regulate these things. Because I
go back to the founding fathers, like the Pilgrim Fathers. Wow.
Yeah, so George Washington knew that children were just intolerable and was like, we need to protect them from themselves.
All right.
And then as far as Stephen Breyer, he bought into the the theory that the science behind whether interactivity is more damaging than say reading a comic book or a novel or something. So this is pretty much resolved at this point.
All right, that's good news.
Yeah, I mean it's really good for the industry because a lot within the industry were saying that this would have a chilling effect on game development. If people thought that they were going to be fined every time somebody slips up at GameStop or something, then they're less likely to make mature rated games.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was at a Commonwealth Club panel, and Activision's chief legal person, he said that Call of Duty would not have been made if this law was in place because they would have been too worried about the financial repercussions of it. So all in all, this worked out well.
Yeah, I would say.
Parents groups not so happy.
That's a one in the W column.
Right.
I would say.
Another check mark in the ESA's victory column.
All right.
So we can move on.
Sure.
Bungie Aerospace.
Yes.
Yes, we've been wanting to know about this for a while. Bungie filed this trademark in earlier this year with this new corporation filing a trademark for Crimson, quote unquote.
Right.
Well, we finally know what it is. They said they were going to announce it, and they have. It's not an MMO. It's not
their new game.
It's not their new game. It is a publishing platform for casual
slash indie.
Casual slash indie slash mobile games.
Right.
So I would think of it a bit like EA Partners, where Bungie is going to be helping smaller developers get their games publicity, get them them developed, basically just feeding them resources so they can bring it to market. And of course they're going to be taking a cut, but that's business, right?
What you got to do.
Right. So the first game that's going to be coming out as part of this is Crimson, of course. It's in development at Harebrained Schemes. It's their first game. It's coming to iOS devices, so iPhone, iPad, iPod.
That's the other I one?
Yes.
Yes.
What? Oh, okay.
iClaudius.
So that's coming this summer.
All right.
The iRod. Oh, that's A-Rod. My bad.
Yeah.
Totally different.
I
think we
no more
exhausted
sports
the
jokes on the show. We clearly
not the best.
Market.
We don't know that very well. So yeah, Bungie Aerospace. I don't know. I feel like if I'm going to be getting a new game from Bungie, it should be either Halo or published by Activision. So this was really kind of anticlimactic for me. I'm excited to see what happens, but at the same time, I'm like, Jesus Christ, you guys, announce it already. But we'll see what happens. I'm sure at some point they will announce this.
All right.
We can move on.
Sure. What else is going on?
So, as you may have heard, the PlayStation Network has had some issues lately. Did you hear? You heard.
I've heard.
So in April, the whole hacking thing occurred. Sony has said, this cost us like $170 some odd million. And earlier this week, their current CEO, Howard Stringer, told a group of Japanese investors that only about 90% of the PSN users have returned. So about 10% have been like, psh, this is crazy. I'm never giving you guys anything ever again. Well, maybe not ever again.
Right.
He went on to say that they're making gains toward rebuilding that trust. Right. There was in the wake of this whole hacker event, 100 million accounts, not users, not people, but across PSN, Curiosity, Sony Online Entertainment. So that was compromised, but they say that they're trying to beef up security. They're trying to restore people's confidence in the system. They had that welcome back program where they're giving away free games. They've got the identity theft protection program, but still so they have lost a little bit, but obviously the vast majority have continued to use the PSN. Whether that changes in the future, I don't know. We'll see what happens. It seems like the more distance we get from this, people are very, short-term memory oriented. As long as things are fine now, it's probably going to be okay in the future.
Right.
But yeah, the other interesting thing that happened, like in the hacker world this week, was one of Sony's primary antagonists at this point was LulzSec, Lulz Security. Threw in the towel. They're like, okay,
we're done.
That was cool. You guys can do whatever.
We did our job. We don't want to get found out, so we're going to retire.
We want to run away now. Get out while the getting's good. So hopefully this headache for them is over.
Hopefully, yeah.
I would like it if they didn't attack anybody else.
Yes.
But
all right.
That seems to only antagonize. So do whatever you want, guys. I don't know. Your decisions. So the other cool thing, this happened today. The Bungie thing happened today too. But Call of Duty. I know you're.
I like.
You like some Call of Duty?
I like a good Call of Duty game. I like a good man shoot. A
good shooter. But so they're going to be having their own convention. Similar to BlizzCon. BlizzCon is kind of Blizzard's entertainment. Blizzard Entertainment's big show usually happens like September or October, and it focuses on Warcraft, Diablo, StarCraft. Now they're having something very similar to Call of Duty. So that's happening September 2nd and 3rd. It'll be in LA. Tickets are $150. Kind of pricey, actually less than BlizzCon. BlizzCon's $175. But the nice thing about the show, the ticket price, is all of the proceeds go to the Call of Duty, Call of Duty Endowment, which helps like veterans, military veterans, reacclimate themselves to society. So it goes to a good cause.
One of the things that blew my mind about that convention is that they're going to have a recreation of one of the Modern Warfare 2 multiplayer maps. In paintball. Also, the tutorial map, you can run through it.
That should be
presumably without an actual submachine gun in hand.
Probably a paintball gun. Well, maybe just like a dart gun or something.
And they're going to recreate Burger Town.
Burger Town?
Yeah.
I was unaware about Burger Town.
Which was a fake fast food chain in the game.
Oh.
Yeah.
Probably pretty tasty.
So there you go, burgers and guns.
Yeah.
America.
So America. But yeah, they're expecting about 6,000 people to show up, and it's going to be a lot like BlizzCon, where they have developer panels. They'll have a big tournament. They're going to be giving away like $1 million. And they're also going to be pretty much taking the lid off of Modern War 3's multiplayer component.
Cool.
So they'll be able to play competitive, co-op, and we'll get a look at Call of Duty Elite, which is that online platform that they're going to be launching with this. So September 2nd, 3rd, tickets go on sale when? July 19th.
All right.
So, I don't know, check it out. If it's anything like BlizzCon, queue up because it will sell out within seconds. Yeah, I don't know. Closing out, I like to close on a downer.
Yes.
I love to close on a downer. Star Wars Galaxies is being taken offline December 15th.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit expected. EA is supposed to launch Star Wars The Old Republic this holiday. So
yeah, you don't want too much confusion there.
Yeah, you don't want the confusion. I highly doubt that anybody would stick around Star Wars Galaxies when they've got, this new shiny MMO to play with.
Well, I also heard Sony Online's licensing deal expires too.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, it's probably this confluence of, hey, this is convenient. You know, we've got this other big cool thing. We don't want to divide the audience.
We've got about 7 people playing our game at this point.
Right. They're very dedicated, but
yeah,
really,
dedicated 7.
We have to shut the lights off.
All right.
This is like 8 years. You know, it's kind of sad. It's like one of the. It's not like the first wave of MMOs, but it's definitely. You know, one of the ones that's been around for a very long time. And it's kind of funny too, because if you think about this game, Star Wars Galaxies was never a huge hit, and it took 8 years before it came offline. World of Warcraft is a huge hit. That game will be around for all of eternity.
It will be.
Yeah.
It will be. When the next life form comes to Earth,
They'll be
after
like
humanity has long since, perished,
Right.
they're going to find
They'll be like, wow,
Warcraft.
this is a pretty good game.
Yeah,
we should
I like
play
this.
this.
Let's go on a raid.
World domination, be damned. Let's play some World of Warcraft.
All right. Well, Tom, I appreciate you coming by and giving us the latest word on the video game industry headlines.
What to do?
All right. Thank you, Tom.
Thanks.
All right, everybody. Now on to our next segment. We're going to have a look at some starting block advice for Resident Evil: The Mercenaries for the 3DS.
What's up? I'm Ryan McDougall, the product manager on Resident Evil: The Mercenaries 3D, and I'm here with this week's starting block, giving you some tips on how to get started with Resident Evil. So the first advice I have to give anyone is your high score starts before you start the mission. And what I mean by that is character selection, co-op play, and skills. You're going to be able to choose a character, and each one has their own special melee attacks. These do different damage, and they take different amounts of time. So to maximize your score, play with them all and understand which one is right for your skill set. Speaking of skill sets, we do have over 30 different skills in this game, each with their own upgradable options. You can reload faster, you can do more damage on headshots, critical strikes. All these different skills really change the way the game is played. And as you understand which one is right for you, partner that with the characters that you've selected. That's how you'll optimize your score. Finally, co-op play. Co-op play is the way to go. We've got online and local co-op play, so you can always find a friend that'll at least double your score. Second tip, melee attacks. Every time you hit a character in the knee or the head or from behind, that'll actually knock them down or give them a context-sensitive melee attack option. At that point, run up to them and hit Y. That'll give you a powerful melee attack that's dependent on which character you're playing as. Characters like Hunk or Krauser will almost always kill with that melee attack, and that'll give you a bonus 5 seconds to the overall time. 5 more seconds means 5 more seconds of killing zombies. And that means more points for you. If you can combo that quick enough, you can actually continually build more time for more combos, more melee attacks ad infinitum. Finally, my third tip is kill downhill. What I mean by that is in the middle of the game, kill whatever is in front of you. Don't think too hard about where your strategies are or where you want to be. Obviously, things like combo time and finding all of the crystals to increase your time are important, but don't get too hung up on that. Kill what's in front of you, and that will maximize your score by keeping you focused on what you need to do. That's this week's starting block. I'm Ryan McDougall for Resident Evil: The Mercenaries 3D. Enjoy the tips.
All right, folks, now the show keeps rolling, and here we're going to take a look at Puzzle Agent 2, courtesy of Jonathan Segro from Telltale. Jonathan,
Hey, nice
thanks
to
a
meet
lot
you.
for dropping by.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, so for everybody out there who might not be familiar with the Puzzle Agent series, can you describe what this franchise is all about?
Yeah, so this game that's just released today is Puzzle Agent 2. It's the sequel to the award-winning iPhone PC game from last year. It's about an FBI agent who, here we take a look at it. It's about an FBI agent who works in the puzzle division. And in the first game, he's got a case where the erasers go missing from the main manufacturer in Scoggins, Minnesota. So they has to go back to Scoggins and figure out what's going on. But when he gets to Scoggins, he finds out there's more than just erasers going on there. There's a big mystery with the hidden people which are these red, scary gnomes. So the game overall is it's a puzzle game and adventure game, sort of hybrid. So we take a look here. We just solved one of the little mini game puzzles that's in it, and now you have to click around and figure out what to do. What Tethers is trying to do is find the files, the missing persons files, to figure out where all the people Skelegons have been disappearing to. So this is one of the standard type of minigame puzzles we have. You have to try to get from one point to another and block the light so you can't be seen. So you're trying to sneak through the sheriff's office here. The sheriff is really, he's been a thorn in Tether's side ever since the first game. He's very passive aggressive and never wants to help him do anything. So whenever you complete a puzzle, it has to get approved, and you see if you did a good job or not. If you have any problems, there's hints where you collect gum for hints, but the town is completely out of gum. So you have to find it like on walls, underneath desks, and crap like that. So you just grab used pieces of gum and
Hello, Agent Tethers.
Cripes! Sheriff Bob! How long have you been standing?
Randall Scruffman told me you might be paying my office a visit.
So the art style of this game is based off of
it's just
Grant
I really
Annabelle's
needed
comic
to see
books,
how bad
Grickle.
this missing person problem
It's a series he's been doing for many years.
Everything I
So
got about
Graham
missing
developed this
people
art
is in
style
the
and
file.
the story behind it.
It's definitely a very distinct art style.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun to make. So on the PC, we're playing PC right now, and you just click around. If you're playing on iPad or iPhone, you just click with your finger.
Okay.
There are no dates.
What's in the files is
So
everything
this
I
being,
got,
the second game in the series, what sort of lessons and fan feedback did you gather from the original Puzzle Agent?
The main thing was people weren't really happy with how the first game ended because
really?
they weren't sure. Because when we did this game, it was part of our pilot program where we were just trying out this license and seeing if people liked it or not. So the way it ended was kind of abrupt because Nelson's theoretically solved the case. He found Isaac Davner, who was the foreman at the racer factory, but the gnomes, the hidden people, quickly took him away. And then Nelson's boss was like, "Hey, good job!" And you're like, "What? What? I didn't really do anything." So Nelson was really bothered by that. So in the beginning of the game, he's reviewing his case files, and he's kind of upset about that Isaac wasn't really found. The hidden people took him, and he really wants to go back to Skelegons and figure out what the hell happened. So he does it on his own time. He takes vacation, goes back, and hopefully has some success in this episode.
Now, has there been anything? Would you say the puzzle design is different from the first one?
The puzzles are the same vein of the first one.
Yeah.
We spruced them up a little bit more. We have a few more puzzle types. Overall, it should be more interesting. Otherwise, it's still a lot like Professor Layton style.
Yeah.
Go around, do a puzzle.
Missing? Nah, I can't say anyone would miss her. She lives in the old Teeterson house over on the west side of town, near Valda's Inn.
It's a lot different from our usual style of games. We usually do traditional adventure games, like we just finished Back to the Future and Sam & Max, Wallace and Gromit, Strong Bad. This is more casual user.
Right.
It works really well on the iPad and it looks great too.
Now, I apologize to our viewers. We've got some slight technical problems with this laptop I've got on the desk here, so I can't actually take a look at any of the reader questions that we've got coming here. So if you guys have any burning questions, I do apologize for that. We'll see if Frank knows Ryan's password to log on.
It's probably a password.
Yeah, the password, generally, the password is password. We'll do our best to get this working again.
According to the sheriff's description, she sounds like a recluse. Probably
so in the
town's
meantime,
resident
here we go. We've got questions coming in now. All right. Let's take a look.
Good evening, Agent.
So Nelson is in. He's. This is Malcorca, who turns into a femme fatale love interest type. He went over to her place because she had slipped a note under his hotel room door earlier in the game, and now he's kind of stricken by her because she's a huge puzzle fan too, as he says right there.
Nice.
And my friends
Thribs is wondering about differences in platforms. You obviously mentioned the input is going to be different across platforms, but the game itself, is it more or less the same?
Yeah, it's pretty much the same. We're on PC, Mac, iPhone, iPad today. We'll probably be on PSN at some point. But yeah, on the PC you just click around with a mouse. iPhone you click around with your finger. Otherwise the game looks the same, it plays the same.
All right. Lim AK is wondering the length of this game. How would you say it compares with the original?
It's fun for
I don't remember where the original ended up. I know this one's around 3 to 4 hours.
Okay.
There's a lot of new environments in there. Like people always worry that we just reuse all the same environments, but there's a lot of new stuff in here, a lot of new characters. I think the gameplay ends up being longer in this game.
I thought it was kind of.
Pretty sure the download size is bigger.
Are you the one who slipped a note with a puzzle under my door?
Forgive the theatrics.
So you mentioned difficulty-wise, you guys are sort of going for casual audience with this one. So I imagine the puzzle design probably isn't going to be too punishing.
Some of the puzzles can get tricky, but there's plenty of gum around the world to help you out if you have any trouble. If you do get through the entire game without using any gum, like perfect score, then you might be treated to something special at the end.
Business partner?
But you should be able to get through it without having to resort to the internet.
And if you do get stumped, there's always our sister site, GameFAQs.com. I know I've certainly gone there for plenty of puzzle games in my lifetime. So obviously, this being a puzzle game, we don't want to spoil the answers for everybody, Jonathan, so we'll go ahead and leave it right here. But we appreciate you coming by and showing off Puzzle Agent 2.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks a lot.
Yep,
I apologize if you mentioned this earlier, but can you let everybody know when... Actually, you did. It's out today,
I said it twice
right?
already. Yep, out today. PC, Mac, iPad, iPhone. Buy it.
Buy it. All right, there you go. All right. Thanks a lot for showing us the game.
Yep.
All right, folks. So now our next segment is a little feature that we like to call E3 Aftermath. Let's take a look.
Hey everyone, welcome to a new episode of E3 Aftermath, where the GameSpot editorial team talks about the hot topics that came out of E3 2011. I am joined by editor-in-chief of GameSpot.com, Ricardo Torres.
Hello, don't call them hot topics, we're not The View.
Hot topics. Ooh. And news wizard Tom Magrino.
Hi, man.
Hi, how are you doing?
We're totally not a couple of women established sitting around.
Hot topics facing today's women.
Yeah.
Actually, what we're going to talk about today is not this past E3, but the E3 of the future, E3 2012.
So do you have a crystal ball?
I have one somewhere. And
please do not whip it out.
Yeah, no. So, based upon what happened this year, we saw the announcement of a new Nintendo console. We had Sony taking out the PlayStation Vita, and we had Microsoft really putting a lot of emphasis on Kinect.
Right.
So, Ricardo, first, what are we going to see next year?
I think Microsoft's already been very public about talking about a new console next year, which they kind of need to do. I think they didn't have the best show this year overall, simply because they were a little more fixated on Kinect, I think, than their audience wanted them to be. So that'll set things right. They're going to talk about the new Halo.
Right.
They're going to talk about...
Wait, the new Halo 4 or the Halo after that?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I mean, they always tend to... They roll them deep.
Right.
So
I feel like this Halo will be, 2011, and then they'll give us another Halo in 2012. And I feel like that's just going to be, we're going to have a normal closer for every Microsoft E3 press conference.
Pretty much.
Halo.
I mean, so you don't do either. You think that, because it seems like Sony's in it for the long haul with the PlayStation 3. They're looking for, seems like another 5 years out of that thing, if that.
I'm not completely convinced that either Microsoft or Sony will show new hardware. I mean, Sony, it still clearly has a lot of life left in it, and Microsoft is just, cleaning up as far as North American sales especially. So like they haven't dropped the price at all, and it's still at $200, $300 level. It really just doesn't make sense for me for them to want to advance the console generation before they have to.
I mean, is there demand from third parties that these new systems come out? I mean, it seems that with development budgets exploding that they wouldn't necessarily want that, but...
It seems like the third parties are nervous because and you, Cap News Wizard, you tell me if I'm wrong, I think this has to be like the roughest transition we've ever seen in between generations from last generation to this one, because it was so staggered out and developers were kind of beside themselves because they didn't know what to code for when and what have you. So I don't think they're in a hurry, but I also think that Microsoft does want something sexy to talk about, and at this point they don't have anything that is going to be new and exciting. So they will have to talk about hardware. They've already said they are. To what degree is a bigger question. I mean, I'm wondering if they're going to go the tech demo route, where they dazzle you with all this stuff, and then they start talking brass tacks the year after.
Right. It seemed like the reason why this transition was really hard was just making that leap from standard def to high def. Like that was the key thing for these consoles. And I think actually the next generation won't be as difficult, because it seems like the high def part was the really hard part for a lot of developers to get their heads around. And, especially with, the Wii coming out, now it's high def. I don't know. It's just, to me, it seems like, third parties are not going to want to go back to where they're trying to figure stuff out. They got we got a project for the 360, which we know has a huge install base, but we got to think of the future. It's like, I think they'd rather just stick it out with what's there. Especially if it's, it's kind of one of these cases of, if it's not broke, don't. It's a stupid cliche, but I don't know. I think it's not broke right now, so it seems
and we're already
premature for them to fix it.
Well, we're seeing this generation kind of have this weird moment where people are trying to really dial in just how powerful the Wii U is. Is it sort of this generation? Is it maybe a step above? Is it how badly is it going to throw off sort of people's plans for multi-platform?
Well, that's my question. So for next year's E3, is it going to be the Wii U's coming out party in terms of we're going to see everything that's coming out for the 360 and PS3 is going to be on the Wii U? We'll see all that stuff on the show floor next year. Will the system be out by next E3?
So they said, the Bay window was April 1st to December 31st.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, you've been doing this for a long time too, and our Spidey sense sure does tell us they love their fall releases.
It seems unlikely. But what do you think about? I mean, what's Sony going to do? What do they have at next E3, Tom?
God, I don't know. I think we'll get some more God of War. It's been a while. I mean, it seems like they're going to hit their big franchises. I'd like to see new hardware, but I don't know. I think it'll be very software driven. I think we'll hear a lot more about how awesome the Vita is, and I think we'll get a lot of third-party Vita titles shown off, as well as first-party.
And they'll probably be leaning into the connectivity between the two platforms that's been hinted at. And I think the bigger thing, going back to Nintendo for a second, next E3 has to be, because, I mean, we know that thing's not going to be out before E3.
Right. It would be surprising if it came out during E3.
No one wants that.
No.
I remember this happening.
Sega already showed that doesn't work.
I think the bigger issue is Nintendo, I think, to some degree acknowledges they kind of blew the Wii U's cotillion, because the fact that after that press conference, there were basic questions like, is it a new accessory for the Wii and whatnot, that they understand they need to have like a really good sort of like coming out party for it officially, and you can't do that without first party software. So I would expect that next E3, it's the Mario game that you expect. They'll tease a Zelda, they'll maybe show something on that Smash Brothers that they very blatantly teased and whatnot. So for them, it's going to be about the proper coming out party for the Wii U. There will be third-party stuff, but I believe the stronger thing will be the first-party stuff that will make that tablet controller totally make sense to anybody that's kind of confused.
So we potentially have new hardware from Microsoft. We have Sony trying to convince everybody the PlayStation 3 and the Vita is where it's at. And we have the coming out party for the Wii U. As always, you can check out all of our E3 coverage by visiting GameSpot.com.
Thanks for that, Giancarlo, for that E3 Aftermath feature. Now we've got Carolyn Pettit here to show us Galaga Legions DX.
That is correct, yeah. It's kind of, there was Pac-Man Championship Edition and Pac-Man Championship Edition DX. This is, the equivalent of that to Galaga Legions.
Just Okay.
Yeah. So it is very much a kind of just high score shooter. There's 4 visual styles. I like one that's kind of retro, so I'm going with the pixelated kind of look, but that's not, you don't have to play the game that way. And so basically it's very simple in concept. You just kind of fight off these waves of enemies, but it's very, like Pac-Man, it's very complex in terms of how you actually go about trying to get the highest possible score, because you wanna maximize your points for each wave.
Okay.
But you also want to get to the 5th level as quickly as possible, because on that level, all of your points are doubled, and the quicker you get through the first 4 waves or the first 4 levels, the more time you have for the 5th level. So you can. There's these kind of larger enemies that you can destroy, and they trigger these kind of chain reaction explosions, which deals with enemies a lot more quickly, but you only get half points. So it's not a game so much where the difficulty, at least in what I've played so far, is in survival so much as it is, although it definitely does ramp up and things get crazier as you progress, but it's definitely more so about just kind of taking care of enemies as quickly as possible and getting to the top of the leaderboards.
It's also the type of game where if you're not playing it, you just look at it and become absolutely mesmerized and lose track of all thought, which is sort of the experience that I'm going through right now.
Yeah. It's also like right now, all of my I forget what they're called, but my guns are all going in the same direction. But you can switch that at any time with the bumpers, and then they will split and fire off in different directions, like I'm doing right now, which probably not the best strategy at this moment, but does have its uses. So yeah, and I don't know if you noticed, but just now an enemy got close to me, and I just died. But
yeah, I saw the part where you exploded and died.
Yeah. So in Pac-Man Championship Edition DX, there was this thing where if you got close to a ghost, it would trigger slow motion and kind of give you an opportunity to get away. And this game does the same thing. Like if an enemy gets really close to me, it's going to go into slow motion for an instant and kind of give you that little edge you need. But of course, it costs you valuable time. And so, if you're trying to get the highest possible score, then you want to definitely minimize that as much as possible. So yeah, it's not Galaga as people remember it from the classic game. And
Posture Duck is online, in case anybody's wondering.
Yeah. Sorry about that. And it's a dual stick shooter. I mean, the controls are very simple. You move freely in all directions and fire in all directions, and
it's definitely a shoot them up.
It is indeed one of them so-called shoot them ups.
I like to describe games as Rainier Wolfcastle would describe them, so I call it a shoot them up. I'm very formal with my genre descriptions.
Yeah.
All right, Kara. Well,
so there you have it. This is a little look at Galaga Legions DX,
which is out.
It was out. It's this week. It's out now on Xbox Live Arcade. It's coming to PSN, but I believe not out yet, and I don't know exactly when that's coming out.
All right, but what matters is that you can currently download it right now for your Xbox 360 entertainment system. All right, so that was Galaga Legions DX. Now we're going to take a look at what else is coming out in the world of digital downloads.
Spotters. This is Aaron Sampson bringing you a list of top digital downloads this week on Xbox Live, PlayStation Network, and Wii Shop channel. New this week, fire up your 3DS or DSi and check out Pro Jumper Guilty Gear Tangents. $4.99 in 3DS land or 500 DSi points will see you running, jumping, eating apples, and laying waste to your foes with a deadly towel. For those remote and nunchuck wagglers out there, you might enjoy the mystery of White Rock Castle. Poke around the fortress looking for clues in the disappearance of what else? A princess. XBLA brings the heat this week with Half-Minute Hero Super Mega Neo Climax for 800 Microsoft points. Save the world in less time than it takes to make toast. Those with a PSP will remember the formula well from the 8.0 scoring half-minute hero way back in 2009, when only the Wii had motion controls and tablets were a glint in Steve Jobs' eye. Also in arcade this week is Galaga Legions DX for 800 Microsoft points. Galaga is turning 30 this year, and this old dog has some new tricks, including a dual-stick control scheme that allows players to fire in any direction or even in 3 separate directions. Set off chain reactions in enemy formations to keep yourself from being swarmed, and if you can remember the original arcade title from '81, you're old. PSN this week is bringing Beyond Good and Evil HD for $9.99. High-definition graphics and a remastered music score give you an excuse to revisit this 2003 great-scoring title. On the fence? There's a demo. Next up is Gatling Gears for $9.99. We had a good time with the 360 version released last month, so now we're going to have a good time with the PS3 version. If stomping around in mechs is your cup of tea, then you can take a sip of this title with the demo, or wait for our full review this Friday. Old but newly available this week on XBL, start punching dead cows with your thumbs, and maybe even give your thumbs a montage if you want to be a contender in Blaze Blue Continuum Shift for $29.99. This 8.0 scoring 2010 2D fighting game included a terrific roster with varied characters, deep fighting mechanics, a new tutorial and challenge mode, as well as great online competition. This week, you'll also be looking at a hero that likes to climb things, falls from high places and always lands on his feet, and is deathly afraid of water, but you won't be getting many lulls from him. It's Bionic Commando for $19.99. Nathan is back, and by back, I mean like that ex you dumped in 2009 and are selectively remembering the things about them on the positive side of the list. Honestly, he had some good times with that arm, but the shooting was just limp and the protagonist highly unlikable. If you're thinking about giving this one another go-around, refresh your memory with the video review. Game demos this week see the release on XBL of NCAA Football 12 due out July 12th. Choose your side as Alabama takes on Florida State and Oregon battles Texas. Also in demos, check out Sonic Generations due out towards the end of this year. Sonic's universe is thrown into chaos when convenient plot points known as time holes begin to appear and characters from Sonic's past, including a younger version of himself, emerge. Since Sonic could probably run at 88 miles an hour, we're assuming there won't be a DeLorean, and since free riders kind of sucked, we'll do without hoverboards as well. We're also hoping that Sonic isn't his own father, because that would be super weird. The PSN demo to check out this week is PlayStation Move Ape Escape. Past Ape Escape titles have fared from pretty good to great, so go ahead and give this one a try before the full title drops next month. And new DLC this week, XBL and PSN are sitting about the same, with the exception of the Annihilation map pack for Call of Duty Black Ops on XBL now, PSN soonish. For both systems this week, check out the Valley of Death for Operation Flashpoint Red River, a Mater the Greater addition to the recently released Cars 2 the video game, and the Captain America table for Pinball FX2. In game trailers this week, you might enjoy footage on XBL, such as the announcement trailer for Warhammer 40,000 Kill Team, and the Annihilation in the Jungle and Burgerman multiplayer trailers for Call of Duty Black Ops. PSN will subsequently grab your eyeballs with the Battlefield 3 Operation Metro multiplayer trailer, Bioshock Infinite E3 2011 teaser trailer, The Darkness 2 E3 2011 trailer, and XCOM E3 2011 trailer. That's all the time we have, folks. Join us next week for our top picks of digital downloads.
Aaron Sampson, I don't know, do people really want their eyeballs grabbed? Is that like a high benchmark for what you want out of video games? I'm not sure. All that matters right now is that we've reached everybody's favorite part of the program. It's time for trivia giveaways. Caro, do you want to know what we're giving away today?
I would love to.
All right. Well, we're going to start out with that game that you just played, actually.
What?
Galaga Legions DX. We are giving away 10 codes to download the game on Xbox Live. So here is the trivia question that we've got for that. What game used Galaga as a mini-game in place of a loading screen? If you think you know the answer, use that little answer trivia module on the page right here, which used to be green. I think now it's blue. They changed it on me. I don't like change very much. Anyway, you can either use that or use On the Spot at GameSpot.com. Now, the next trivia giveaway that we've got for you is for one of these sweet on-the-spot mods for your Xbox 360. As you can tell, this one is it's a green color, which is why it looks semi-transparent on our green screen set right here. Here's the trivia question that I've got for you in regards to this prize. Which celebrity had a very, 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 very long phone conversation to promote their game during an episode of On the Spot in 2008. One of the most infamous moments in the history of On the Spot. I hope you guys remember this. Same method. Use the answer trivia module or use that email address I gave you a second ago. Now our third and final trivia giveaway. Caro, any guesses what this might be?
The Ark of the Covenant?
You're right, we're giving away the Ark of the Covenant. Actually, I'm sorry, that was last week.
Oh.
We gave that away to somebody. Sorry.
Yeah.
You guys get a chance to win some Uncharted 3 beta keys. Here's the trivia question I've got for you for that game. Who reviewed Uncharted 2 specifically for GameSpot.com?
Yeah.
I don't want to know who reviewed Uncharted 2 for, I don't know, what's another website?
I wouldn't. I can't think of any. I don't know of any other websites.
ActionGamers.de. I don't want to know who reviewed it for ActionGamers.de or NathanDrakeFans.gov. I want to know who reviewed it for GameSpot.com. Yeah, answer trivia module or on the spot at GameSpot.com. Caro?
Sean?
We've reached the end of our program.
Yay!
We've had some laughs.
Yes.
We've had some tears.
Yes.
But most of all, we've had some fun.
We sure have,
We
Sean.
sure have.
Yeah.
We sure have. Thanks a lot for joining us.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure as well. And thanks to everybody out there for watching. So long, everyone.